Hello and welcome to the new and improved Season 2 of Undercast Show with Casper,
Hey.
Christian, Cody,
Hey guys.
and Greg, myself. Happy New Year, Undercast Nation. It was
Wait, what?
No,
Undercast Nation.
That's good. That's good.
We didn't talk about this.
hey,
We didn't decide on this.
there's literally dozens.
I thought we were going to call the people who watch this
I
Ruth
don't.
Brains.
I don't even think dozens. I think that's generous.
Undercasters.
Anyways, this is
Nope.
beside the point.
Nothing
Happy
in no one.
2020, everyone. It's a new decade, which means we should all reminisce about the old one because we already think it's better than this one. So we're going to be talking about the top games of the decade, in our opinions, our expert opinions that are not up for debate.
Game number 1, 2007, Godzilla Unleashed for the Wii.
Godzilla. Who is your man?
Dude,
That's
Was
probably
it,
Titanosaurus.
Yeah.
not even in this decade.
Let's not make this Godzilla podcast.
Pretty close.
Gotta go with Mecha Godzilla.
I figured a throwback would be kind of nice.
Godzilla cast.
Zillacast. All right.
All right. Well, today's episode of Undercast is brought to you by Audible Space Dollar Shadow Legends. Will sponsor anyone.
They
I
got so
say-
much money to throw around, dude.
Yeah,
Great.
I say.
Undercast at
We-
gmail.com if anyone wants to sponsor us.
Sponsored by Remy LaCroix.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I suppose we should probably jump into 2010, shouldn't we?
Oh, we should. This is being recorded on January 5th, 2020. Just in case World War III breaks out in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Just for context.
Topical.
This is before
But-
World War III.
Best game 2010 is Minecraft.
Anyways, yeah, let's get back into this gaming podcast and not talk about World War III.
It's Minecraft.
right.
Best game
Okay.
Minecraft.
Okay, Minecraft. Did
Did
Minecraft
Minecraft-
come out in
Wham.
2010? Would you like to talk about it?
It's Minecraft.
Yeah, you guys probably talk about Minecraft more than me, just because.
I mean, Greg, you know very well that Casper and I are ex-famous Minecraft YouTubers. I mean, that's just a
Are we
fact.
just are we just using that word for everything now?
What?
What word? Minecraft?
Throwing around famous pretty liberally, aren't you?
No.
I mean, like,
I
I
don't
know
know.
that Red Dead Redemption won Game of the Year, but also I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
so
name-
2010 was a pretty good year for gaming, I would think. I mean, it's got
Yeah,
some pretty good ones.
2010's got a bunch of heavy hitters for sure.
I
League
mean,
of Legends also came out like it came out like in the last couple of months of 2009, but I'm pretty sure that was the beta, and like it was basically just fully out by 2010.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
yeah, so I mean, just going down the list: Civ 5, New Vegas, Minecraft, Red Dead.
Well, let's take them one by
Starcraft.
one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Super
it's
Meat
just
Boy.
it's a pretty stacked year. It's got some tough competition amongst itself.
Well, so I guess what do you want to say about Minecraft to start, man?
Minecraft.
I mean, like
Big
it was.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what the second best selling. No, that's not right, is it?
GTA 5 is best selling, isn't it?
No, I think it's Tetris still. Just kind of
Did
cheating.
Tetris
Count.
sell?
That doesn't count.
Does that sell or did it just show up on computers?
It's just weird.
You know, Minecraft got best selling 180 million sales.
Yeah, and that's not counting all the people that just pirated it.
It actually
Hmm.
beat Tetris in 2011. Wait, no, it didn't. Never mind.
Yeah, I
Just
mean-
forget about Tetris. Might as well be a goddamn computer program, isn't it?
Yeah, like
It's like
what is it,
oh,
Space
it's
Cadet on
best-selling
Microsoft?
game Microsoft Word. Fucking
But I think for Minecraft, right, it's I mean, just what it did for everybody's playing Minecraft.
Yeah.
You know?
it really opened up like it was a blessing and a curse in that it started the whole like crafting and resource management and that aspect
Survival.
of game.
Yeah.
Survival,
sandbox.
craft, resource management. Yeah, that well, like Sandbox doesn't quite cover it. There's a lot of things like GTA 5 is a sandbox, but you're not like chopping down a guy's house for the sticks so that you can make a fucking bow.
But yeah, but still a sandbox.
Yeah, but it was like a sandbox in the most literal sense that it ever happened. And
Definitely
it really
spawned
captivated people.
an entire genre.
It spawned
Yeah, for
people's
sure.
careers. Think of how many famous people can you name that are
That's
famous
true.
exclusive? Like
Yeah.
not including Notch because he's just the guy that made the game, but like You get the Yogscast. You get like people like Captain Sparkles. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
I guess maybe not that many careers, but
there's
There's
way
more.
more. I just
Yeah,
there's a
I think
lot
of
of
we
them.
can
But
name,
you know,
but
I haven't
right.
dabbled in that sort of community for a long time, so.
I,
it has been a while since I was 15.
Didn't PewDiePie start doing Minecraft now?
He started doing Minecraft, but that's definitely not what launched
Yeah,
his
isn't that
career.
No,
weird?
no,
where he
but he's
What
just
launched
doing
it
it
recently?
is Happy Wheels, I believe. Wait, what year
Actually-
did Happy Wheels come out?
Actually,
No,
you know what's
actually,
funny?
wasn't it like Slender Man that
But,
really started?
I mean,
PewDiePie?
if we're
No,
talking
what
about
started
games,
what started PewDiePie was Amnesia Dark Descent, which
That's right.
came out in 2010.
conveniently, yeah, another 2010 game that is competing with Minecraft. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
the
I guess
Amnesia games are
Minecraft.
dumb.
I think
Minecraft
the
is just
Amnesia
really
games are really
important,
good.
but
Scared the heck out of me. That's for sure.
Both games were definitely made popular because of YouTube.
Yes.
for
Yeah,
sure.
because she was like, man, I want to watch YouTube, man, play scary game and go, oh, scary monster. Ah!
Yeah.
Why was Minecraft so popular? Or I guess why is
It's-
it still popular?
It was a
Because
creative
you
game.
can play it on a
Yeah.
Pringles can hooked up to a power cord.
That
Like
too.
true.
anybody could run it, and you could
Yeah.
do anything on it.
It's the
I
same
think
reason that soccer is the most popular sport in the world.
I think it
I
was
think
only
that
$10 too. Right.
Minecraft's decision to go mobile too, like that,
Oh,
people
yeah.
were playing on iPads and shit. So if you're a little kid, you're playing it on an iPad. Like
Or
that's
then
pretty big.
when they went to console as well, the Xbox
Mhm.
Minecraft
Yeah.
brought a lot of people.
So yeah, I mean it's a super important game, and it's also like Christian's saying, kind of a curse because now every game's got fucking it's got
Yeah.
resource management. It's got
It's dropped off a little bit in the past like year or so, but yeah, for just so fucking long. Every game that came out was like, hey, yeah. I mean, that's what Fortnite originally was. Is they were trend chasing the idea of like survival, crafting and resource game.
yeah,
And then
you're
they
right.
just chose to chase a different trend, but that's a different year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other 2010? So I guess Super
StarCraft
Mario
2.
Galaxy. Okay, StarCraft
Sorry.
2.
No, you're saying Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah, Super Mario. I think that. Do you guys think Super Mario Galaxy 2 is better than the first one?
No.
I think the first one's better, personally.
Yeah.
2 had a more diverse selection of platforming because obviously they would, because it's the second game in the series, so they have better stuff to work with, and they took what they did in the first game and did it better in that sense. But I think the overall aesthetics of the game are not as good. They're like, it seems like there's just more platforming for platforming's sake rather than Super Mario Galaxy. The first one felt a lot more realized as a world, or world as
Yeah.
as a a universe, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I
the
agree.
hub was way cooler.
Did the-
It
Like
was cooler.
the galaxy. What do you call? What was it called? Fucking observatory or something.
Yeah, it was Observatory, I think.
Yeah. Whereas
Ah.
driving around the galaxy on a green Mario head with a fat purple Luma going.
I hated that.
Yeah,
Did the
it's
first
like,
one?
this isn't.
Did the first one
The
have Yoshi? Or no?
No, the second one was Yoshi.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yoshi was not in the first one.
I think that the first one was really it's a really important game, but the second one is kind of like, okay, like you're saying, it's kind of just taking what made the first one good and just kind of adding a little bit. But when the first one came out, it was just like a game changer as far as 3D like
Absolutely.
it kind of reinvented 3D platformers again,
Yeah, it was like, so if you think about Mario 64 or Super Mario 64, that just like defined 3D platforming. It just
Yeah.
was the quintessential 3D platformer. Super Mario Sunshine, which is I think a really underlooked game, underrated. It took exactly what 64 did and refined it. It really honed it. Like
it
this
has
is
flip,
this is
though.
like the tightest platforming was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Mario Galaxy 1 did what 64 did, and Super Mario Galaxy 2 did more what Sunshine did, but not quite as much. So like the first like Super Mario Galaxy 1 defined the genre in the way that 64 did, but 2 honed the platforming in the way that Sunshine did,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, so I definitely don't think, as far as 2010 goes, definitely not Super Mario Galaxy 2. Talk about
StarCraft 2.
okay,
Wings
yeah,
of Liberty.
StarCraft 2.
Did any of you guys play that?
Well, I mean, I played it, but I didn't play much
No,
of it.
no.
I feel like I'm the only person here who's like really blew through the campaign in that a few times.
Yeah.
That would probably be correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose I'll leave it to a note then. But I mean, obviously, like StarCraft 2 has huge implications in the esports department.
Esports, yeah,
Oh yeah,
Especially in
huge.
Massive.
for
Korea.
sure.
But I
But
think
I mean,
I think an overlooked part of these games though, because like all the StarCraft games going up through the years are on here, but the campaigns for them are amazing. Like the
I
story is really cool, and the mechanics of the campaign itself are cool. There's like units you can use in the single player that are not in the online play that make the gameplay feel really unique. Like there's unit upgrades, and like
yeah,
each playthrough can be different with what style of play you use.
I did play some of the Rings of Liberty campaign. It was pretty good.
so what you're saying is it's a Warhammer Dawn of War ripoff?
Did you know that it was originally gonna be a Warhammer game?
I would believe it because
It was. It
the
was just,
Space
Aesthetically,
Marines
it
and it
seems
looks
similar.
super close. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Warhammer didn't want a game from them at the time, so they just made their own.
Yeah. There's in the original StarCraft, there's some unit quotes that reference stuff similar to that. Where like I think it's one of the I don't remember exactly what unit, but if you know how you like all the Blizzard like RTS games when you click things and move them, they say shit. One of the things when the unit says, he's like, "No, this is not Warcraft in space."
Yeah, I think that it's always been a game like StarCraft 2, I guess StarCraft in general, has always been a game that I want, but I feel
you
like
what?
Yeah.
that I want to get into. But I feel
Oh, yeah.
like I don't know, you gotta worry about your macros. I feel like the learning curve is pretty steep, you know.
It's really steep for online play, but if you just don't even touch like the way that I entered into these games, and obviously I'm pretty terrible at StarCraft from an overall online standpoint, but just play through the whole campaign and then start doing like versus AI. Just do versus AI for a long ass time and work your way up to the hardest difficulty before you fight any people, because like AI is really good, but people are cheap. People will do this dumb like like the stutter stepping orb walking, but with entire units. So like kiting in League of Legends, but just entire armies just kiting the shit out of you.
That's what
It's
kept
learning
me
curve.
away from playing it.
Yeah, that's what keeps a lot of people away from StarCraft, is just how good everyone else is at StarCraft besides you.
So I guess next maybe Greg and I could talk about Civ 5 a little bit, or
Yeah.
Hey, Civ 5, probably like, I guess in a lot of people's opinion, the best of the series. Civ 6 didn't really live up to the expectations set by 5, but
yeah, I think. Wait, when did Brave New World come out as an expansion? Because that
oof, I don't know. Wasn't that?
But
Pretty-
base Civ 5 I think is pretty well regarded for that genre, but then the expansion came out and that kind of changed the game. I think that brought a lot of new people on board. A lot of fond memories of Civ 5. I don't know if it's necessarily game of the 2010, but
Uh, at the very least, it could be an honorable mention.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Uh,
What else do we have in this list?
we
Alan Wake. We have Alan Wake and Heavy Rain. I think we could probably talk about these together. They're both kind of similar. The only difference is really the gameplay mechanics. But
I like beating people to death with a pipe.
yep,
It's my favorite part of Alan Wake.
yep.
I liked Alan
mean-
Wake a lot. I thought it was a really fun game, and I thought the story
Yeah.
was interesting.
Really, really atmospheric. Really,
Yeah.
really good. Sound design, I think, was really good in that game.
that was an Xbox
Definitely.
exclusive, right? Or
That was on
Uh,
PC.
it is on PC.
Not
Yeah.
anymore.
It got taken off of Steam, yeah. But
Oh,
if
really?
you grabbed
Yeah.
it before it did,
I think I actually, yeah, I think I did purchase that in like some
My favorite
bundle.
part of the
Hey.
sound design was the sound it made when you hit someone with a lead pipe.
You really like that lead pipe.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
weapon, man.
Hey,
and
guys.
then on the same note of that, we've got Heavy Rain, which is obviously it's more of like a quick time, like multiple option adventure.
Yeah, I think it kind of harkens back to the sort of adventure type games of point and click, not necessarily point and click, but I think it kind of reinvented sort of that genre and kind of made it new. And now a lot of games, like we'll talk about later on, the Telltale games, those kind of borrow heavily from kind of what Heavy Rain was doing. So
Yeah, Heavy Rain definitely did, I think, spawn a pretty like good series of games. It's basically like playable novels. That's basically what it.
yeah,
what they are.
not for everybody for sure, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
But, hey,
I
for-
would rather just
for us
watch a movie
hardcore
of it.
gamers, Uh, let's see. After that, we get Halo Reach came out in 2010. Obviously, it's not Halo 3, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, do Halo fans they like Halo Reach?
Who knows?
Because I've never really considered myself a
I
Halo
don't think they like
fan.
anything. I think
Honestly, yeah.
they're all just kind of mad because in the online play they made everyone Master Chief. I don't know. It was a really weird decision from Bungie
You
to
see,
do that.
you keep saying
I
that,
hate
but
this.
that's not even a thing in Reach. You can be an elite. Like,
So I guess maybe we don't have a lot to say about.
I mean, honestly, the thing is, I probably wouldn't think about Halo Reach too much if Master Chief Collection didn't come out on PC very recently, and Halo Reach was the only thing you could play on it.
Yeah, right.
But playing back through it, it's actually got a pretty like good story. It's got a good campaign. I mean, it's probably not quite up there with the Master Chief campaign, but Noble Six's story is pretty good, and it's a really good one to go through. And the online was good. It just kind of like killed competitive, but
Yeah.
the Forge mode was also a great place to lose a lot of hours. So at the very least, it might not be top 3, but it's probably top 5.
League of Legends.
Yeah, we had League of Legends come out too. You want to talk about an esports game?
Yeah.
yeah.
League of Legends
Let's
is it.
talk about a game that's still relevant right now, even though they're turning it into a Chinese mobile game.
Yeah, definitely.
The rise and fall of the game that Casper and I have probably put collectively thousands of hours into.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of time in
Way,
that game. Too much
way
time.
too much time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got like, however many thousands of hours in TF2, but you know what? That's time well spent. I don't regret any of that time.
Yeah.
But
League was
League, oh boy.
most
Rest
of
in
my
peace, Heart of
playtime was
Gold.
most of my playtime is just fueled by hate.
Yeah, I was gonna say when we bring up CS:GO later, that's another one I might do. So we also have Xenoblade Chronicles on the list. Was that Casper?
Yeah, I think I'm probably
Talk
the
about
only
that a
one who
little
played that. Xenoblade Chronicles was really cool. I don't know if you guys know, but it's pretty much just the world was 2 giant fighting robots that kind of hit each other with a big story. They all had big swords. They just hit each other and then they stopped for some reason. I guess they wounded each other too much. And you pretty much play as, well, you start off as Homs, which are pretty much the humans in the world, and you kind of just go through it trying to defeat the Mechons, which come from the other giant fighting robot. It's just
So there's the one robot that's like the life robot, and the other
Yeah.
one that's like the mechanical robot.
So yeah, it's called the Bionis and the Mechanis. You know,
bit.
life in metal. But it's a really cool game. The story is actually really interesting for JRPG, and there's just so much stuff to actually do in it. So it's definitely one of the better games of the year. Although
Was that on the Wii? It must have been, right?
it was on the Wii, but it was hard to buy it because it was a GameStop exclusive.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It was you could only get it at GameStop.
That's like shooting yourself in the foot.
It wasn't as big of a problem as you might think in 2010 compared
Yeah.
to
I
now.
feel like
It's not like people were buying shit out,
unless
buying games online. in
GameStop
2010,
is
really.
paying you for the exclusive like more than your sales would have been everywhere else.
Because
Like,
of that
that's
though,
smart.
Xenoblade didn't. It got good ratings, but it didn't do good because of that. But it goes to show how well the game was because you see it. Not only did they get sequels, you see it in other references when you play games. Or like,
Smash.
yeah, Smash. It added the character. No one really expected that because it didn't get a lot of sales.
And
Okay.
having Shulk in Smash a few years after the game came out was like really blew its popularity up. Because all these people were like,
Yeah.
"Who's this sexy anime boy who has a time traveling sword who talks funny?
Yeah.
Who goes backslash? This is the Monato's power." It's like, ooh, I want to know about the Monato's power.
Doesn't he have like
Tell me
a
more,
shirtless skin,
15-year-old in
right?
bathing suit.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
bathing suit. Yeah.
Nice.
Sexy suit Shulk.
Nice.
It's the skin that Casper uses.
Actually, they
just-
remade Xenoblade Chronicles for the 3DS, the new 3DS.
Mm.
But that didn't
Okay.
do well either because no one had the new 3DS. So
It's like
Right.
over and over, you can shoot yourself in the foot.
yeah.
All right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did we mention that the Spike VGA Awards gave Red Dead Redemption Game of the Year? But I don't think any of us.
Care.
I mean, listen, Red Dead 1 is a really good game.
It is a
Super
good
immersive.
game.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you want to move on to 2011?
Well, why don't we
Yes.
just give our top 3 and maybe some honorable mentions?
Collective top 3
Yeah, because I think we all know what's going to be top 1.
is Minecraft.
It's going to be Minecraft.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I gotta put Starcraft 2 up in the top 3 too, just because it's such a defining game both from an esports perspective and like people playing the single player.
I don't know. I feel like I would have to put League of Legends in StarCraft's place.
Yeah, because it's so much. Well, it wasn't as popular at that year,
It's
but
more of a definitive MOBA, though.
I'd say StarCraft 2 has it has been more of an esport. Like League of Legends popularized itself as an esport, and it popularized the idea of esports. But StarCraft is like StarCraft 2 is a continuation of StarCraft is like what has held that title.
only in like South Korea. Like there's.
Yeah, we aren't in South Korea.
Yeah,
We're
I
in
don't.
America.
I don't know.
I don't know if we should do a.
Well then, all right. If it's Minecraft and League of Legends, what's the other one? What's the third?
Xenoblade.
Nah, it's gotta be
No.
Fallout New Vegas. It's gotta be Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, I think it's got to go to Fallout New Vegas.
I mean, that's the best Fallout game. Like,
Obsidian's last Fallout.
absolutely the best Fallout.
So they had a falling out with Bethesda.
Well,
Yeah,
no.
I was always confused why. I think
What?
there was word that they were gonna make a new Fallout game, Obsidian, but they never did it. Maybe they, I don't know. But I know Fallout New Vegas was developed in like less than a year, something crazy like that.
How about we just all pick our own game for the deck or for the year?
Our
Okay.
own game of the year.
Yeah.
That's better, and we'll do that going
Everyone
forward.
pick Minecraft.
I'm not gonna pick Minecraft.
Okay, you want to go first, Greg?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Fallout because
Yeah, I will go with Fallout as well.
I'm going with Xenoblade. What do you
Fuck,
prefer?
I gotta go with Minecraft.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Just-
that settles it, folks. Fallout New Vegas. All
2011.
right, 2011. Good year. Pretty good year. Skyrim year, but
It's an
that's
unbelievable year.
not the point.
So,
It's
are
known
we
as
just gonna put? Are we
Skyrim.
gonna put Skyrim in every single time
Yeah.
it's released?
No.
Skyrim releases for TI-84 silver.
I thought Skyrim came out in 2012.
It did not. It came out on 11/11/11.
Yep. Remember that? Remember that
Yeah,
very
because it came
clearly.
out right at the end of the year.
Yeah,
Classic.
But I mean, hey, Skyrim is not to overshadow the rest of the great titles that were released
2.
in 2011. You got Portal
could-
2. You got Terraria. You got
well,
hey, don't try and snub Terraria. It is
I'll snub
it
it.
is fantastic. Dark Souls, the first Dark Souls. You got Dead Space 2, Bastion,
Bastion was a good game.
Just for
LA Noire, which in my opinion is a very underrated title.
It's
You want
really
to take it one
underrated.
by one? You want to start from the top and work?
You want to talk about Batman Arkham City,
Yeah, Batman Arkham City.
the sequel
the
to
best.
Arkham Asylum,
Of course, yep.
introduced an open world concept to the Arkham games.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the case that Arkham Asylum was, it's open world, but it's not expansive. You know what I mean? Arkham City, you have the whole city to explore. beat up
Detective.
thugs. Yeah. It really made you feel like you're Batman. Plus, the story was really
I
good.
sang. Hold on a second. Shut up.
What?
Made you feel like you're Batman.
You fucking said the thing. You said the dumb thing.
That's my favorite thing, though. It's my favorite thing to say.
What's the dumb thing? I
Yeah,
Makes
what's
you
the-
feel like Batman?
That's the
Oh.
quote that
Okay.
goes on the back of the box.
That's the whole point.
Yeah,
What are you, BuzzFeed?
it's got to be the best superhero game of all time.
I don't know that that's true.
That's not true at all.
There are several fighting games and Marvel Ultimate Alliance games I would like to answer to you.
Are you gonna try and say that Spider-Man PS4 isn't better than Batman Arkham City, or that Batman Arkham Knight isn't better than Batman Arkham City?
I would definitely say Spider-Man's better than Arkham Knight. But if you look at the DNA of Spider-Man, I mean, it gets most of its, you know what I mean? Like its fighting style, for example,
All right,
takes a
where the
lot
hell
from
are you
Arkham
going
City.
now? Okay,
I
I
don't-
don't. I don't agree
There
with
were
you there.
hold up, Cody. There were Spider-Man games before
I
Batman
understand
games
that.
that like the fighting style comes from.
Yeah, no, that's not a
What?
correct thing
No,
to
the
say.
combo style with the heads up, it's
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
use
from
fighting
Amazing
that was in
Spider-Man
the older
2.
Spider-Man games.
Yeah, I actually like the Silent better than City.
you like Asylum better than City.
I think the bosses and just the
I
Asylum
don't like
was
the end
cooler.
boss though.
No, the end
The
boss
end boss
sucked.
was a little silly.
Yeah, that
I
that
mean, I
was
guess it
bad.
is like a Batman episode though, you know.
I Yeah, I did like it. I Even though it wasn't an open world, I mean, it kind of was, but it was more self-contained, and I thought it was more polished.
I think they packed a lot into it,
Yeah,
for sure.
I like that.
I'll pack a lot into you.
All right, let's move on to Portal 2.
Fuck,
That's
did
a
I put
fun
a lot
game.
of time into that game?
Yeah,
Jesus, do you remember?
Christian and me
I
did a
don't know
lot of
if you.
co-op.
Oh, we did a shitload of.
Yeah,
We
the
were
co-op's
good.
really good.
We were good at that.
I
Like
actually beat that with
you see
Dustin.
so many playthroughs where it's just people like dicking each other over, and we definitely did that. But like we like blew through the game at one point, didn't we? We did like a
Yeah.
replay of it. Did it really fast.
Yeah, it's a great game. The story, it's like the original Pearl, but so much better in every way. And the original
Mm.
Pearl was great.
Yeah. My only
Yeah.
gripe, my single only issue with Portal 2 is that I always felt like there was a little too little content. I understand that it had like quite a good deal more
Yeah.
content than 1 because 1 just had the single player, whereas 2 had a fully fleshed out single player campaign and all the co-op stuff, and also just like some extra stuff to release. But like
And
I
Steam
always felt like
Workshop.
I just always felt like it could have used more.
Yeah,
Like
I
one,
definitely
one
agree
more
with you.
Portal 2 expansion.
I thought it had enough, but
It's very condensed and it's very tight, very polished. You know what I mean? So I don't think you
Yeah.
would want it to be. I agree though. One more expansion would definitely. really sealed the deal.
Once you play through, that's the thing is like all the Portal games, they have good replay value, but they have very fast replay value. Because once you figure out how to do the puzzles once, like if you're pretty experienced at platforming in on the Source engine, like you just breeze through the games. They are so fast,
yeah.
and it feels like if you go through and play the game again and then you beat it, it's like wow, that was it, huh? That's all there was. I wish there was a little bit something extra.
Even if you go through it fast, I think it still takes over 10 hours. The first game you can beat in like 2.5 hours. You know?
Yeah. There's definitely like a lot to 2 compared to 1, but
So, let's see. I guess that means we gotta move on to it. We gotta talk about it. Skyrim, probably my most played game of all time.
Is it really more than like
Uh,
Europa?
Oh, yeah. Because Europa, we're counting Steam hours. But Skyrim I first got on the PS3,
Yep.
and I sunk a lot of hours into it.
It's got. Listen, I love Skyrim, but like the engine that they're using, I feel like they just never. Like I feel like people like the fact that it's really glitchy and buggy.
It
But-
adds to the charm.
That's what they say, but like I feel like you just fix your engine, and I hope that's what
Okay,
they're doing for the next
but
Elder Scrolls and
you're
Starfield.
saying
I hope
that.
they're just
You're saying
fixing.
that, but your top game of 2010 was Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout New Vegas is way fucking buggier than Skyrim.
I feel like it's I feel like it's story and all the different factions and stuff. I feel like that uplifts New Vegas more than Skyrim. I feel like Skyrim, like okay, just for example, I had this bug where it just ate your save. Like why? How come? How come that's the case?
That's definitely happened to me in New Vegas. So
Skyrim
I don't know what your problem is.
Skyrim is a fun game, and the main quest is good, but it suffers from a lot of bad side quests. You could have a few good ones, but for
Yeah.
most
It's got
of
some
it,
great side quests.
it does
I
have some
literally,
good ones.
as you guys are talking, I had a Steam notification that James
Yeah.
is playing Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
James is playing
fuck,
Skyrim.
that ain't good timing.
Yeah.
It's definitely an important game. I feel like more people played Skyrim. Like people know. Like Skyrim is more known as being Skyrim instead of Elder Scrolls 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like a
Because
lot of people
the
jumped
other
on
Elder Scrolls
Skyrim.
games didn't get nearly as popular. I mean, the one that came the closest was probably Oblivion, and even then,
Yeah.
And Oblivion
it has not aged well.
No.
It doesn't. Like Morrowind and Oblivion,
Morrowind
greatest
aged better
games
than
of all
Oblivion.
time. Morrowind definitely aged better than Oblivion.
The
But
thing is, though, Oblivion and Morrowind and all the other ones, well, actually, no, just those two. They have better quests than Skyrim.
Yeah,
They're older, but
yeah.
their quests are more unique. Like Skyrim will have good big side quests, but it also just has a ton of side quests where it's just like, go fetch me
They
this.
just don't. They don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of fetching quests, but I mean, you gotta like also take into consideration the modding community is a lot bigger for Skyrim, and there's a lot of good story mods for it.
Here's my issue. I don't like giving these types of games the excuse of like, oh well, there's this many mods.
Yeah,
Like,
should be
only
talking about
goes
the
so
base
far.
game, you
Yeah.
know?
I also just in general, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 5, I think it's overrated. I like the game. I played it. I've played it a decent amount at this point. Obviously, not even close to as much as like Greg's played it, but I don't know.
You know, I
I
like
think it got huge just because it's like a massive game that you can just sink a ton of hours into. But at the end of the day, it's like
another thing is I like dumb easy games, but Skyrim is a lot more simplified from the other two when
yeah.
it comes to like stats and what you can level up and stuff. There
I
was
mean, just because it's a more accessible game doesn't mean it's a worse one.
well, it wasn't that it's more accessible. It was more that there were actually different stats that you could level up and you could branch it.
Yeah.
It I liked that more in Oblivion and Morrowind. Like there were
It
more
felt more in depth.
It was more in depth, and it wasn't really harder. It just gave you more options to pick how you wanted to build your character. So I guess it didn't really make Skyrim more easy. It just dumbed it down. You know?
I don't know, but then you got to consider the Dragonborn DLC that added
Yeah.
a good amount, and then you had
The DLCs were good.
Dawnguard. DLCs were really good.
So I don't know. We're considering DLCs, you know, but
Why wouldn't we consider DLCs?
You could
I
ride a
thought
dragon.
because if we're not considering mods, and we're not talking about. But I mean,
No,
it's
the
whatever.
DLC is a little bit different.
The DLCs did come out a different year, but
Yeah. That's
I mean, it's still Skyrim.
I don't know.
Hey.
We're not gonna just talk about the DLC separately.
Let's move on to Bash.
I just wanted to note,
Oh,
Skyrim, aesthetics wise, everything looks just dirty.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
the
I don't
point.
that's the thing. I don't think it's like it's in that weird middle ground. This was a classic hallmark of like shit that came out in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Is they were right on that middle ground of realistic enough that it can look like dirty and gross, but nothing really hits like that the beautiful aspect. I guess like
I don't think
we're
you were
wandering
going to
through
the
a
right
game.
parts.
I don't know. You think like yeah, you could try and make the argument that there's like beautiful parts of Skyrim, and I guess you are, but like for the most part, you're wandering around in like that sort of mid-February, everything's slush and dirt.
I don't
Gross.
know about that. Skyrim definitely has
That's
a
like-
lot of good looking parts.
Yeah, I mean, the first time you stumble into Blackreach, it's breathtaking.
Is that the place with all like the cobblestone buildings and stuff?
Racist.
That is the underground cavern. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I tend to agree with Christian as far as like, okay, you're talking about like character models and stuff like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
animations. You're talking about
Yeah.
like, I mean, landscapes is whatever. Those will be good, and those have been good for a long time.
Like,
But I
have
feel
fun
as far
making a
as,
high elf that doesn't look like some fucking
Like
monstrosity of a humanoid.
The
Even the
character models
Nords,
were
to an
pretty gross.
extent, like, unless you take that one Nord face model that looks pretty good, the rest of them are just like chunky fuckers.
Yeah, but that's just
don't
like
know.
a problem with Bethesda games. I mean, Oblivion's
Well, yeah.
character creator
Yeah.
was way sillier.
Oh yeah. Well, we're not. We were saying Oblivion did not age well at all.
yeah. I think I don't know. I think we've said maybe all
I
we
think
want to
we've
say
said
about
all we
Skyrim.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
Yes.
Casper wants to talk about Bastion.
we've spent a ton of time and we're only on 2011. So
Yeah.
You played Bastion, right, Cody?
I
Did you,
played
or-
I played a little bit of Bastion on my PlayStation Vita. Yeah, that's right. Very cool.
That's right.
But no, I think as far as wait, who developed that? Is it Supergiant? Supermassive?
I don't
No.
remember.
Anyways, I think that kind of what came after Bastion, I enjoyed a little more. But
I
that's just my opinion, I guess.
I like Bastion because I like that kind of gameplay. It's like a beat 'em up kind of just hordes of
Yeah.
enemies coming at you. The story was really cool too, and it had that that cool voiceover of the guy with the deep voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Transistor had that too, but I thought Bastion's was better.
I give Bastion the award for a game that Casper tried to get me to play them, and I very rarely would.
You cut out so much there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was gonna say award. Fuck. Now I lost my train of thought. You tried to get me to play Bastion all the fucking time, and I only obliged like a few times.
Oh, did I? I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
Wasn't yeah. It was cool. It was like tower defense, but in a much more realized sense.
Well, I wouldn't say it was tower defense because it's not like you go through a level. It's not like enemies are just coming at you like that.
Am I thinking of the same game?
You might be thinking of something else.
I'm thinking of something else. I didn't play Bastion. That's the takeaway.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, I played that one.
Oh man,
Played that
Blighttown.
one a lot. Blighttown is a complete non-issue once you know how to skip it, because there's a jump you can do, especially if you take the master key as your burial gift, where you just skip the whole like you do like 3 jumps, kill one guy, and then you get to the bonfire, and then you can get to the one boss that you need to do in Blighttown to proceed through things, and then you can just have that bonfire for when you need to go to the Great Hollow later. Get to Lost Izalith if you want to get there early. But yeah, who else here played like Dark Souls?
I
Not
only
enough to
played the
say anything
beginning.
about
I
it.
think you're the
Yeah.
only one who can talk about it.
You guys are missing out on a good game. Really good game, just by all the margins. Aesthetically, I think it's amazing. Like considering it's supposed to be like this fucking decrepit world that's been half burnt, and it still has this really realized aesthetic in all these different and unique areas. Suffers from the same problem that all the FromSoft like Soulsborne type games suffer from, in that it doesn't tell you fucking anything, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. It's a good thing when you just are sitting in the hub world in Firelink Shrine and you're like, well, I have to ring the 2 bells, and I've been told like kind of 2 directions I can go to do that. I guess I'll go give it a shot. And
Should
Dark
we take
Souls,
an ad break?
good NPCs, doesn't tell you anything. Okay.
Let's finish 2011, then we can do a quick ad break and then start trying to blaze on through it.
Okay. Is there any more from 2011 that we want? I think we can mention.
Deus Ex, Cyberpunk 2077 before it was a thing. Honestly, great, gritty, futuristic. I think it's pretty good.
I like
some
his
people don't.
glasses.
His glasses are,
His glasses
are weird.
His hairstyle is pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he always talks like he's trying to whisper through a wall.
Yeah.
Dude, takes place in Detroit. Detroit Red Wings fans exist in that for some reason, which is also weird.
People
but
becoming human.
I think it's a pretty good game. Probably not the best of the
That's
year,
a new
but
one.
it's definitely worth mentioning. The new one is awful. Don't worry about the new one.
The new one's awful.
Dead Space 2 is scary and it's in space.
It is, and it's
Dead
got
Space
good
2.
gameplay mechanics and an immersive story.
I never played 2. Would you say that one's better than the first?
I think 2 is better, at least gameplay wise.
I think it holds. Yeah. I agree. I think better. I think one kind of like clunky controls.
Mm-hmm.
It's
but
kind of
one
hard
obviously like was the first one, so it had a lot that it could do with the story.
Yeah, I think the first one, just as far as like that was like the first immersive like scary game that I ever played. So yeah, I think Dead Space 2 definitely has a place on the list.
The Saints Row the Third, that was basically just GTA but fun.
Like more off the wall, sort of.
Yeah,
Isn't it like a dildo sword where you
Yeah,
can?
you could be a completely naked person waving around a dildo sword, riding around the city, just stabbing or I guess smacking people. It was more like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
and If that isn't great, then I don't know what is.
There was a part in the game where you save a pimp, and he you have to get out of the house or whatever you're in. So you jump into a rickshaw with the pimp that has like an auto-tuned cane pulling you away from the house, while there's other people in rickshaws chasing you, and you shoot the rickshaws and they blow up.
Truly a masterpiece of game design,
Yeah,
but probably not the top.
it was something.
LA Noire is a game where you hit X and doubt people and make that face.
I doubt it.
LA Noire, I think, is probably like one of the first really good games that let you like be a detective. I mean, your decisions matter in that, and you honestly, there's some mechanics in there where you don't really ever find out if you made the right choice. So
I was really bad at that game.
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like that was hard to play when we were.
Casper, you have the intuition of Neville Chamberlain. Of course, you're bad at that game.
I feel like it's a tough game for. How old were we at that point? Pretty young. I feel like it's pretty tough.
yeah, that's true.
I played it
Terraria,
like last year.
2D
Terraria-
Minecraft.
Terraria is
2D
really
Minecraft is a pretty good game
it
too.
really like it's not 2D Minecraft.
Obviously, it's not. It
Yeah.
combines a lot of elements that Minecraft doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a
I'd say
really
like
good game in its own right.
I really like the boss. I'm gonna be honest. I love the boss fights in Terraria. I sometimes wish that it wasn't so fucking time consuming and annoying to get to them, depending on how lucky you get.
Yeah, that's pretty much
'Cause
most of what Terraria was.
Yeah, because like Terraria is just one of those games where like if you didn't get lucky as cave spawns and item drops, you would just be fucking sitting there for ages. Or like so much stuff is locked behind getting the NPCs to like set up shop in the houses you build, and like sometimes it just doesn't happen. Or figuring out exactly what sort of formation you need for an NPC house is annoying, to say the least. Cool
Yeah.
game.
Right. Also,
Fortress 2 went free to play.
I guess it's
2011.
it's worth noting, but probably shouldn't make it into anyone's game of the year considerations because it technically wasn't, from 2011, but it is pretty important to note. That was a good addition to 2011 as far as gaming goes.
It's also worth noting. It's not like TF2 prior to the sort of 2010 2011 updates was a different game. Like they really started pumping up the amount of like alternative weapons and sort of it opened up alternative playstyles for all the classes. Like the game kind of exploded in that year.
Mm.
All right. So, well, Christian, since you were talking, what are your top 3 games of 2011?
Portal 2, Dark
I
Souls.
thought we were doing our number one.
But yeah,
Yeah, it was just
number
one for
personal
each.
number
just-
ones.
Just number 1, I suppose.
doing Portal 2.
Yeah, I think Portal 2 as well.
I'm going with Portal 2 too.
I'm still gonna go with Skyrim. No one's gonna stop me.
Nerd.
I suppose now we should move on to 2012.
It's too bad there were no games in 2012 because the world ended.
Anyways,
Oh,
Unfortunate.
That's
there's some
right.
pretty good games in 2012.
Coney 2012.
Dude,
All
I
right.
remember Coney.
Animal Crossing.
Who could forget Coney?
Animal
Animal
Crossing,
Crossing.
a game about AI not working and navigating menus.
Hey!
A game about owning a house.
It's cute. It's about
Okay.
paying your debt.
It's cute, and sometimes the little animal characters say sad things that I can post on Twitter.
Dude,
Borderlands
who
2.
the hell hates Animal Crossing? What the fuck? How you gonna go and do that?
Borderlands 2.
It's like hating
game.
cheese pizza.
Borderlands 2. I think honestly Borderlands 2 kind of revolutionized the looter shooter genre. Borderlands 1 was good, but it wasn't nearly as polished as Borderlands 2. And Borderlands 2 also includes probably, in my opinion, one of the most compelling villains ever to
Handsome
grace
Jack.
gaming. Yeah, Handsome Jack, amazing villain.
Yeah,
The
Borderlands
DLC
2
for
was-
Borderlands 2 is also really good.
Yeah, Borderlands 2 is one of those games where, when it came out, I feel like how do you feel about playing it solo though?
The majority of my time playing Borderlands 2 is solo.
Yeah. Okay. So mine was whenever my brother and my cousin were online, we'd play Borderlands 2. I feel like, as far as like you're saying, looter shooters, it really did revolutionize.
I mean, it's
Revolutionize?
basically Yeah, it is basically the game that all other looter shooters are judged against, and I think that the makers of looter shooters hate that because if you take a step back and look at Borderlands 2, it is a ridiculous game, but it is
Yeah.
extremely fun. And then at the end of the day, that's just what a game is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun.
I think it also revolutionized modeling titties with line art.
Yes, cell shading, the artistic decisions of the Borderlands series are some of my favorites.
Cosplay is really cool. Whenever someone does a Borderlands cosplay.
Mm.
Yeah.
I really like Mad Moxie cosplays.
Yep. I can't imagine why. Anyways, I
Not
think
as big a
that
fan of Tiny Tina cosplays.
unless Cody wants to
I
talk
would hope
anymore
so.
about Borderlands.
No, I mean, I think we kind of said everything we need to say about Borderlands 2. It's just really really important game for that genre. And
Mm. Definitely a really good one. Diablo
Diablo
3.
3. Witch Doctor, coolest character ever put in a dungeon crawler game. Changed my mind. Fuck
so
if he isn't the most unique. Like, he's not just guy with sword and shield, or bitch who heals, or dude with big axe, or dude or chick in robe that hurls ice and maybe fire sometimes.
Valkyrie.
He's like an awesome fucking. He's just this decrepit little man from the jungle in a far off land that throws jars of spiders and makes toads fall from the sky and makes like hulking behemoths of flesh and voodoo and hoodoo and all that shit. It's great. Love it.
Can't imagine why you like him.
Borderlands 3 is, or sorry, Diablo 3 is really good. I think that so when I first played it, I played it when the Reaper of Souls expansion came out. So I never played it when it wasn't out, when it first came out, and I played it on PS3 or PS4 actually. When I got into yeah.
It's way more relaxed than the other Diablo games. I played a lot of Diablo 2, and I think Diablo 2, like, if you're really into the sort of Diablo style of games and you have some friends that you can chunk through the games on, it's better. But Diablo 3 is a better game that's like, hey, I've got a few friends over my house who may or may not be familiar. You guys want to do some Diablo 3?
Yeah, it's a very simple game to understand.
Right.
Yeah, I think Diablo 3 is really good.
Far Cry 3, first Far Cry game I ever played. Pretty
Me
good.
too. Me too.
Yeah,
Main
same.
character's kind of a pussy, but hey.
Yeah, the main character is kind of my only problem with that game. Just like I that's one of those games where I wish the protagonist was just silent. Like shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like but you know the villain of that game is obviously really good. Voss, right?
Yeah, well,
Voss was
there's
even...
multiple villains. Yeah, he
Voss.
was kind of just like the first one.
Yeah. Did you ever beat the game, Cody?
I mean I pretty sure. It was a long time ago. I played it on Xbox 360.
There's tits in
Wow.
that game.
There is.
Yep,
Isn't she like riding you and then she kills you?
she can.
The story in that game sucked.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
feel
mean,
like-
you play that game to play it. It's got fun
Mhm.
gameplay.
Yeah.
It had that Skrillex weed song. I don't remember what it was called.
It was Bonfire.
Yeah.
By Knife Party, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it? No, it did have a Skrillex song, but it was Bangarang, and it was just while you were torching a ton of pop fields.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
I do
popular
remember
at the
that.
time.
That's the thing about Far Cry 3. I think it has a lot of missions that kind of stand out, but I don't remember
They're
my
not
time with
super
it.
coherent. Yeah, it's just kinda
Yeah.
like they stick out because they don't fit in.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily because they were super unique. It's just they didn't actually fit into the story all that well.
Right.
Would you say that Far Cry 3 is kind of the start of the Ubisoft like collectathon?
Yeah,
It's kind of how their
well,
games have evolved since
I
then.
I mean, I think Far Cry 3 and Assassin's Creed 3 kind of started it. Like,
Yeah.
I think the original Assassin's Creed games were starting to lean towards it, but then, like by the time they got to 3 and by the time they got to Far Cry 3, that's when it was really just
Yeah.
collect everything. Like if you want to 100% this game, you're gonna just spend a ton of time. You're gonna learn every inch of this virtual world.
Yeah, and I feel like over time I've kind of learned to not like those type of games just because I don't know, I just end up trying to do
'Cause you
everything.
value your time.
Yeah, and it's like those games just aren't for me anymore. But you know, in high school they were
Yeah,
perfect.
when I like didn't have anything to do ever.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I think Far Cry 3 is definitely pretty good. Do we want to talk about?
Jasper, you want to talk about Faster Than Light?
Faster Than
I-
Light. Faster Than Light was a cool game. It just was an indie game. It was strategy. You had your own spaceship and a crew, and you just kind of what
Yeah.
was it? You tried to get to the end of what was it? I don't remember now.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. Is you're just trying to run away, right? And every playthrough is different. So
Yeah,
you know, as random events happen to you, random upgrades to your ship, random enemies that you encounter, that
There's
sort of thing. So
there was free DLC too, which added a lot.
the music's really good.
Yeah,
That's one thing I do remember about FTL. I think for, yeah, I think FTL is what they've done recently too. I think we'll talk about, but Into the Breach, I think took kind of what FTL did and kind of evolved on it. But FTL was definitely a really good starting point for
yeah,
that type of game. Kind of like Oregon Trail sort of thing.
yeah.
Probably the closest comparison if you guys are familiar with that. But
It's a good game.
I think.
Oh,
I
I've never heard of Oregon Trail.
Yeah,
What's
what's that one?
I think that game came out in 1971, actually.
Did it really?
I think it came out when the original Oregon Trail was in use.
Dude, Native American children pass the time of the Trail of Tears by playing Oregon Trail.
So who played Dishonored?
I did
I
not.
played
I
Dishonored.
played Dishonored. I beat Dishonored. I love that game. I think it is really fun. It's very replayable. It's got different options. I think it's got different endings depending on
It does, yeah.
the choices
Yeah,
you
it
make.
does.
Yeah. But I really like how you can get through that game without killing anyone. I think that's like something that's honestly lost on most stealth games is that you can do
Yeah.
anything in Dishonored.
I think it's
As-
definitely the best stealth game. At least one of
I
them.
can't think of one that's better. Honestly, you're
Yeah.
right.
What about Assassin's Creed?
Yeah,
No.
Assassin's Creed 3 is just probably my favorite Assassin's Creed, but I don't think it's better than Dishonored as far as stealth games go.
Yeah, I think that one thing I don't know. I think that something that Dishonored kind of a problem I've always had with it was kind of like the level structure. It's kind of like, okay, so I think it had a hub world, right? And then you go out and do that like one mission, you come back to the hub world.
Yes, how
It's
far
more
in did you
linear
play?
than I would like for that type of game, but it does what it does very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it's more focused on like replaying those linear things differently because there's
Yeah.
it's fairly linear, but there's a lot of different options as to how you get to the end.
yep, yeah, I remember there's different paths you can take, you know, different ways to go about kind of your objective you're trying to do. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Hotline Miami.
Yeah, so I can I don't know if anyone else has played Hotline Miami, but I can talk on it just a little bit. So Hotline Miami, you know,
Animals
it's your
in Neon.
oh yeah, loves its neon. It's a top down. I guess it's a beat 'em up kind of. You know, you just kind of go through and you can see who's on the other side of the wall, and you're kind of planning like, okay, how do I get in there? What weapon should I use? And then you just beat the shit out of them. That game is so gory for like a pixel game,
Yeah.
like a pixel art style game. That game is like probably the most gory game that I can in that art style. Really fun, kind of a trippy story, like kind of going through and figuring out like why the hell you're like what's going on type thing.
It had
Yeah.
cool music, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's another thing. It's known for its music, so
All right. Well, let's move on to Walking Dead, Telltale's masterpiece. I think
yeah,
I think that's an opinion that a lot of us share, honestly.
I feel
It
like
was a
that's
good game.
not a really hot take, that it's kind of the peak of Telltale's like storytelling ability.
Yeah.
Walking Dead was kind of weird because it started that whole episodic thing.
Yeah, it did release in episodes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Like
it wasn't all out in 2012, right? It was.
I think all the parts came out in 2012.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. It came out before 2012 then, right?
I can't remember, but there's definitely, you're right. There definitely it was space between the different episodes, but then, you know, I think it ended at least in 2012.
Right. It had a really good story. A lot of
Yeah, I think
choices.
right. People are playing it for the story. I feel like maybe you're your choices aren't as impactful as they are in other games that we might talk about. Like, okay, so you decide to save this person, let this person die, and then like the only thing that happens is that person is there now instead of the other person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't really affect the ending of the story.
Yeah,
But
and in the end, no matter what, the same thing happens,
yep.
which kind of sucks. But I guess
Yeah.
it's one of the things that made the story good.
Yeah. The same, it's kind of a similar problem with we're talking about the engine that the Elder Scrolls game were built on. Telltale's engine was like just fucked. Like I don't know what the hell they were doing, because like not even like a funny goofy way like sometimes Skyrim was.
It was
Like
just
their
laggy.
engine was just broken,
Yeah.
and they kept pumping out games. They would have Batman, they Fable, all these games pumping out, but they would never just sit down and just fix your engine so it's not like eating saves and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
hmm
So that was something that I think, that's probably why they had to shut their doors recently,
It's because
Yeah,
they made
well,
bad games.
instead of
think we
making
got-
like a nice quality game like a Telltale
What
Walking
happened with
Dead.
Telltale? Like, did they reopen? Because they announced Wolf Among Us.
No, someone else bought them, and then they
Oh.
like hired a full new team. Like it's totally different now.
Anyways, Telltale's Walking Dead, pretty good game. Probably Telltale's best. Mass Effect 3, pretty good.
First Mass Effect.
Yeah,
I think isn't that what people say?
arguable.
The ending,
I mean,
they don't like the ending, right?
yeah, people just don't like the ending, but you're not gonna like every ending. I think it was the right ending, or I guess the right combination of endings.
Casper didn't like it because he tried to be a good person and then it dicked him over.
Yeah, I blew up the Earth. I didn't think that was what was gonna happen, but
Yeah.
you know.
Anyways, but yeah, pretty good. But I don't think it really beats the other Mass Effect games, but it's better than Andromeda.
Oof.
Not saying
Assassin's Creed 3.
Bad.
Nah, I liked Assassin's Creed 3.
Assassin's Creed 3 is good.
I didn't
I
play
think it was one of the good Assassin's Creed games. I mean, like, think about when it came out. We just finished up with the Ezio trilogy. I mean, we were getting introduced to a completely new continent to play on. I mean,
wait.
it's-
Wasn't that was the American Revolution one, right?
it was.
Yeah, that one was. I like the setting of that one.
I really like. I think walking around in revolutionary America is it's very immersive and it's really well done. The world is built pretty well. The story is a little bit lacking and the gameplay is a little bit lacking, but I think they really did the setting well, and the music is pretty good too.
Yeah, you're right. I do think that the story. I've never really been a fan of the Assassin's Creed story. Like, kind of.
You play Assassin's Creed to play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Spec Ops: The Line, criminally underrated.
I don't even know what it is.
I don't know
Yeah.
either. I've heard of it, but I don't.
So, Spec Ops: The Line is basically Dubai has been completely devastated by a huge sandstorm, or series of sandstorms. It's like completely buried. It is wrecked. There's no contact with the outside world. Like everything's jammed, and they send in this Spec Ops squad, 3 guys, to go figure out what the hell's going on. And as you go along the game, you start to have to make increasingly more difficult choices. And eventually it just ends up being you kind of end up realizing at the end that you kind of turned yourself into the villain. I think is a really, really good story, and it's got a pretty good twist, which I just told you.
Oh, dude, spoil it. Now I'm never gonna play it.
It's funny.
But,
Spec Ops: The Line is all. If you look up its sales and stuff, it's a game that just consistently sells. It doesn't, like, when it came out, it wasn't it didn't take over the world, but it's just been constantly selling a steady amount
yeah,
due to sales and that sort of thing.
I think it's a pretty good game. And if you ever find it on sale, it's probably a good pickup just to play through it. It's got a really good story. Let's see. Hitman Absolution, probably the best Hitman game, honestly.
Hiding
No,
in
think
plain
so?
sight.
no,
I
definitely
feel
not.
like the most recent ones have been.
Hitman
Those ones are-
Absolution is seen as one of the worst Hitman games.
Oh, I was
I
thinking
don't
of Blood
play 'em.
Money. I was thinking of Blood Money. Absolution's not. It's got
It's not.
that nun one though. It's got that nun mission.
Yeah, it does. I wouldn't say it's a bad game, but it's for Hitman games. I don't think it's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Hitman games, you don't really play them for the story anyways, so
Yeah,
it's
but
not
no,
really
I'm
what
I'm
you're
not even
looking
talking
for.
about story though. I'm talking about like mission
Yeah,
wise.
I would argue that Absolution's got a better story than the episodic Hitman 2 and Hitman 1, like
Yeah,
the
definitely. When it comes to story.
2018 version. Yeah, but yeah, its gameplay's a little lacking, and the graphics don't really hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in 2020, it's pretty easy to be like, man, look how shitty this game looks. But yeah, it's all right. It's not great. Uh, CS:GO.
Yeah,
There's
so
a lot you can say about
Pretty
CS:GO.
good.
It's all right.
Uh,
Sold a few copies.
it it does. So I have a ton of hours on CS:GO. It's kind of, I guess it's probably my Skyrim, my Greg Skyrim. Put a lot of time into it. Probably
lot of
didn't
anger
enjoy
in there.
myself at all, actually. Just very upset most of the time.
But you
But
keep coming back.
that's true. I'll probably log on after we finish.
You're like an abused spouse. You've got battered gamer syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, I don't know. It does what it does very well, but it's just like most multiplayer games. I'm sure, you could probably feel the same about like League of Legends, right? It's just the teammates you get put on your team.
Yep.
They're
Any
always-
game like CS:GO will always suffer from the people who play it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that just about wraps up 2012. I suppose we should move on to 2013 and really start.
Oh, we're not
trying.
doing our game of 2012.
Oh yeah. Well, game of 2012. What do you got, Cody?
I would say. I guess I would say. I'm gonna go with Borderlands 2.
Mm. Yep. It's definitely gonna have to be Borderlands 2 for me. I mean, I don't think there's really a question. It's
Like, it's just fun. You know what I mean?
it's a game you can have a lot of fun playing.
How about you?
I'd probably go with Dishonored, I think.
Dishonored, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I respect that.
What about you, Christian?
Greg?
You don't really have many games from this year.
Yeah, I really didn't do a lot with games that came out in 2012. I mean, 2012 was, I dabbled in PC stuff, but it was all just like TF2 and that sort of thing. And as far as consoles, I was limited to just only Nintendo stuff, and there really wasn't a lot Nintendo games in 2012 that I remember. Like on this list, the game I have played the most is see it. You know what? Wait, no, never mind. I take that. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. New Super Mario Brothers U came out in 2012, and that's also no one played that much because I didn't have a Wii U. So yeah, I guess CS:GO. I got
Right.
distracted there because I got a phone call.
No better way to pick a game than by process of elimination. Anyways, 2013. I guess our
StarCraft
list
2.
is, yeah, StarCraft 2, the
Heart of the
Heart of the Swarm.
Heart of the Swarm campaign was easily the best
actually-
RTS campaign of any game.
Yeah, actually,
Hands down.
I do know about the Heart of the Swarm campaign, and I just kind of like watched a playthrough of it because I didn't like own a PC or the game, but I thought it was really cool. I really liked the playthrough I watched of it. I guess we're leading. You can go ahead.
I was to say, like, the story of Heart of the Swarm, the campaign itself culminated from like years and years worth of story stuff that's coming from all of the older games. Like all the shit that's going on with Kerrigan. Like you finally just sort out the Kerrigan and Raynor business. Like, get it the fuck out of the way. Like, we're done with it. No more Kerrigan and Raynor stuff. It's like we got it sorted out. Gets her vengeance. And you maybe, you kind of realize along the way that, like, hey, at what, because you're kind of at that point in StarCraft, you're used to the Zerg being the bad guy. Because in the original StarCraft games, when you play from the Zerg campaign on the Zerg side, you're playing for like the Overmind, so you're 100% the bad guy, no question about it. There's no morally gray shit anywhere. You're just bad. But with this one, it was weird because it's like, yeah, you're the Zerg, but you're not just mindless or just like the Overmind, where it's your singular purpose and being controlled by the Zelnaga just to overtake planets. You're the Zerg controlled by Kerrigan, who's using them as a tool rather than being consumed by them. And like all the unit, I think the unit upgrades for Heart of the Swarm were way cooler than the ones from Wings of Liberty. Like the evolution pit and all the different types of like bugs you can make is incredible. Is it?
Yep. So I guess Assassin's Creed Black Flag, probably one of the best Assassin's Creed games, honestly.
I think it's probably
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah,
It's
same.
more of a pirate simulator, honestly, and I think it's way better for it. I think what makes Assassin's Creed Black Flag so good is the fact that it's not really like an Assassin's Creed game. It's just you're a pirate. It's
Yeah.
great. It's fun. You got the sailor
the ship
shanties,
combat.
ship combat.
Yar har
Great.
fiddly dee.
Yar har. Anyways,
I think that Ubisoft is still in the works developing a game focused on the ship combat, and I don't know.
I think it
who
came
knows?
out.
about
Who knows
that.
how that could be? Yeah.
I think it came
Yeah.
out, didn't it?
Did it?
I don't think so. I
I
think it's still.
I thought it came
I
out,
think they
but it didn't
announced
really
like 2
bend.
years ago at E3, and they just haven't talked about it since.
Well, this isn't about games that might or might not have come out. It's about games that definitely
May
came
or
out.
may not.
Whatever. Gone Home.
Yeah. So I don't know. Has anyone else played Gone Home?
I have not.
I started it and then gave up because I didn't really care.
Skip it.
I mean, it's kind of in that walking simulator genre, so it's not really for everybody. It's,
Yeah.
it's not an action game, right? There's nothing really. It's a really short game. It's probably only about 2 hours. You're like this girl who comes back from college, and your house is empty. Your parents aren't there. It kind of starts out as kind of like a horror game, sort of. You're kind of wondering, like walking around finding clues as to what happened to your family, like why are they gone, why are all the doors open, that sort of thing. I think that I don't know, should I spoil it right here? You guys
Yes.
probably don't want to play it ever, right?
Yeah, spoil it.
It also
So
came out in 2013. Like
yeah, so it kind of marketed itself as, if you watch any trailers or anything, it kind of looks like a horror game. But it turns out, through finding clues, that your sister has run away, and that's why your family's not there, is because they're out looking for your sister, because she had fallen in love with she had a girlfriend, and her girlfriend was moving away, and they said like, oh, you can't date her, that sort of thing. So it's kind of like when you discover that, it was kind of just a really cool twist that I haven't really seen in any game since, where you think it's like a horror game, like, oh shit, my family's like dead or something, but it turns out that your sister's just in love, and it's actually just a love story. You kind of reading letters that you from your sister to this girl, and you're kind of figuring out like, oh, okay, so that's why she's getting sent to, I think, the military, and your sister wants to join the military to be with her or something like that. So it's very interesting game, but it's not one of those that like you're probably not gonna play it ever again. You know what I mean? Like once you play it,
Right.
it's just the one and done story. So
playable novel.
yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of games from that genre, where the walking simulator type things. But
All right, GTA 5.
Pretty lesser known game, a little niche.
Yeah.
Definitely isn't the like. It has made more money. It's made like the most money
Of any
of
game ever.
any piece of media,
yeah, you're right.
like any book or movie or.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Nuts.
And it's like it's good. It's definitely a good GTA game, but
It's probably just, I think, as far as story mode goes, the 3 different characters that you switch between, kind of live the lives of each one.
yeah, that's pretty nice and unique. But
if you're talking about the tech behind that game and like just what they were able to do, and it's a little janky, right? But I think that just the whole city is huge, right? The whole piece of land that you're able to traverse through, and
Los Santos.
Los Santos, there's so much stuff to do. You know what I mean? There's like a ton of NPCs, and of course you're just running a car usually. You're not really like talking to them.
Yeah, who talks to people in GTA? You're going to a strip club and shooting up a gas station. That's it.
But I think that what GTA 5, it like the legs that it's had, like even till now, right? It's still like the top selling game. It's still on the NPD charts like every single month. Is largely because of the multiplayer.
Yeah, they definitely. I think objectively they do a pretty good job in the multiplayer. I don't like how like monetized it is. It's super grindy unless you actually just shell out real cash for it,
You're right.
which
Yep.
which kind of sucks. But they do add a ton of content into it. It's just like technically it's free DLC, but it's kind of not. That's the whole.
Yeah, it's kind of
I like that it takes like 20 minutes to get into a server.
Yeah,
Takes
and
forever to
then
That's my
load.
and
favorite
then it
part.
takes you 5 minutes, and then you get griefed, and then it crashes.
that's
Yeah.
just the GTA experience, man.
Yep, that's GTA 5. Papers, Please, pretty good game.
Yeah, Papers, Please. I mean, I don't think
Didn't play it.
it's not. It's a little indie game. It's pretty simple in its concept. You're kind
Wasn't
of.
it on the Vita?
No. Oh, no, it's
No.
on the Switch, I think.
I thought it was on the Vita.
No, I mean, I played it on PC when it came out.
It's definitely
Might have been
an
on
indie
Vita.
game.
Yeah, it's definitely your classic, pixel art indie game. You're playing like
Um,
a agent at the border, and you have to admit people in based on
Literally,
like
no-
if
no
their
sc-
documents are.
Yeah, it came out on PlayStation Vita.
Whack.
Sorry, yeah, just noting.
If their documents are like up to date or whatever, and then you get paid for that day, and you have to use that money to like feed your family, right, Greg?
Yeah, like
get
feed your
medicine.
family, and keep the heat on and shit.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting as far as that goes. I mean, it's very simple in its idea, but I think it was
It's a
well.
pretty good game. It's definitely worth noting.
Yeah.
It's a pretty notable title in 2013. You know, I think about on par with the next one, which is Last of Us. Little known game, honestly. I think.
I've heard of
Last
that one.
Us.
Yeah, pretty underrated as far as I'm concerned.
I think like what Naughty Dog is doing. If you ask me like which game studio do I want to work at, I would say Naughty Dog without it skipping a beat. The stuff Naughty Dog is doing is, as far as like their story is obviously really good in pretty much every game that they've made.
Watch
Going
Dogs.
back. They didn't make Watch Dogs.
Yeah,
Naughty
it's got
Dogs?
dogs in the name.
That was Ubisoft something, but now I'm confused. Yeah, so the tech behind their game, as far as their graphics, it's unmatched. I mean, they just know the PlayStation architecture so well. Just what they're able to squeeze out of that little black box is pretty unreal.
Yeah, Last of Us, it's one of those games that had great graphics, great story, great gameplay.
Yeah, I would say gameplay is definitely its weakest.
Yeah,
Like
but it's
its
fun
shooting,
still.
its shooting is really good. Its crafting is really good.
Yeah.
Light crafting, not as far as it's not like a Minecraft or Terraria type thing, but
The sneaking around
But
isn't too bad.
the world,
yeah, the world
world
that they built.
design.
Yeah, just the whole idea about like this plague that's killing people, and we're kind of in the aftermath of that, and it's the story of this
I
man
think the
and
world
this
design
girl,
is
and-
really good. Like you can find like little like hidden stories all over the place just by the way the developers have set up the scene.
Yep.
It's really well placed. It seems like everything has a specific purpose.
I lo-
Why is that there?
I like the whole like zombie design, like why it happened.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And
yep.
that it introduced basically a whole generation of people in both a cool way and an annoying way to the
It's
idea of
scary.
cordyceps.
It's scary,
And
dude.
that exists. But then do you know how many times I would hear from people in like high school like, no, dude, like, did you know that there's like this fungus that like it like takes over things' minds when you die? That could happen to people, man. Like it simultaneously educated a generation and also made them a bunch of fucking mongoloids.
I think that just to really quickly go back to what we were saying before, I do think that its gameplay might be its weakest point, as far as you're looking for like a yellow thing to jump on, and like, okay, you gotta push this box over there to it's kind of trying to be like a puzzle game, but I feel like it really didn't need to be.
It was not made around its gameplay.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
those sections kind of give the room for Joel and Ellie to kind of breathe and like talk to each other. So that's why it's kind of a lull. It's kind of a slow point.
A lot of them are actually hidden loading screens too. So like
Oh,
when
yeah,
you have
you're
to
right,
grab
the
a
loading
plank
stuff
and
is-
place it down, that's a loading
Yep.
screen sometimes.
Yeah, so I think that Last of Us is definitely probably one of the better games to come out that year. Definitely looking forward to Last of Us Part 2.
Mm.
So
Yep. Let's see. What do we have after that? We have Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor. Pretty good.
yeah,
Uh,
pretty good. I think that
introduced a Middle Earth game. I think Shadow of War is better personally, but it is still a
see,
really
okay,
good game.
interesting to say that. So I haven't played Shadow of War. I know that it had a lot of controversy when it first came out, but yeah, Shadow of Mordor, its Nemesis system was probably I want to see that in more games. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
So
the,
you
the
have-
idea of like returning enemies that start to
yeah,
or
yeah.
it's a
Like
it's a
I
cool
set this
concept.
guy on fire, and now, um, later on in like in a later mission, like he's there, and half his face is burnt off, and he's pissed off because I burnt his face off. You know?
Or just like I kept shaming this guy so much that now he's actually fucking batshit insane.
Yeah.
I think that's in the newer game. I don't know if you can do that quite as much in Shadow of Mordor, could
I
you?
don't think that's a thing in Shadow of Mordor,
No.
but it is one of my
Well,
favorite parts of Shadow of War.
He's just like a walking gibberish machine.
Imagine that in like a Batman game, though, dude. Like that whole Nemesis
You just
system.
you just shame the Riddler so much that he stops being smart. He just turns into this fucking mongoloid.
Yeah, I guess that is an
He's
issue
like,
with.
I've done a trick for you.
That's probably an
It's
issue with
like
the potential
cottage
Batman,
cheese with a key in it.
'cause you have
Key
the-
doesn't even open anything.
But yeah, that game was cool. I think that's got to be the best game set in like the Lord of the Rings universe, right? It's got to be.
I
never
mean, there's
actually
Lord of the
played it.
Rings online.
Yeah,
Is that a good
I don't
game?
know. It was pretty good, but is
Okay.
it as good as Zelda: A Link Between Worlds?
I like
and
that
Wind
one.
Waker
Is
HD.
this
Link
the
Between
one on
Worlds
the
is okay.
3DS?
So Link Between Worlds was kind of a remake of Link to the Past. It was kind of strange because it added a lot of new stuff, but it was the same world. It just had a different mechanic. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the whole expansion of like the Shadow World and
Yeah.
sort of like a mirrored dark version. It was cool. Wind Waker HD, Jump to HD meant a lot for the aesthetics of that game.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't know if we should add it because it's just a remake, but it did
It
add
was a
some
pretty
stuff.
definitive remake.
It added some stuff too, like so before you had to use your little baton to change the wind whenever you wanted to move somewhere with your sailboat. But in the new one, you could actually buy a sail that just automatically did it, and it made the game a million times better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't like really the general art design of Wind Waker, like the art style. I don't really like Toon Link all that much.
Really?
Oh, really?
I really like the art style.
I
The
feel like
only
its art
game that I
style
liked
is-
Toon Link in was
You're supposed
Phantom
to-
Hourglass.
Oh.
Wait, why isn't that on any of these lists? Phantom Hourglass, great.
When did that come out? I don't know.
I don't remember. It was on the DS.
Yeah, it's a pro-
Why isn't this game on this list?
Fucking hell.
When did it
Alright.
come out?
Outlast.
Outlast.
I pissed my pants in Casper's basement a couple of times to that game.
Like,
Yeah.
actually pissed your pants?
No, not actually. You think I'm a fucking child?
Nah, definitely play that game with the lights
Pissed my
on.
pants.
We played it at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Just completely dark in Casper's Bay. We also live in the middle of the woods. Yeah, that was
Yeah, no, I don't have that kind of mental stability. Definitely,
Pretty great.
I think it was. I don't want to say it was like super revolutionary, but it was definitely a very unique horror game at the time.
it made horror games better as a whole, I think.
Yeah, it definitely was a pretty big step forward as far as horror games go.
Yeah, you can
So-
kind of see its DNA in, like more recent horror games as well.
Yeah, like Outlast 2,
Yeah, like Outlast 2.
which will not make this list because it's not as good. Doesn't quite hit the same.
Yeah.
Batman Arkham Origins.
So the
Obsidian.
one-
Yeah, this is Obsidian's Batman game, is it
It's
not?
not Obsidian.
I think
Yeah, it's
so.
Obsidian.
Warner Bros. Montreal.
What?
I thought it was Obsidian.
Definitely don't think it's Obsidian.
I guess, yeah, Warner Brothers Montreal. I
Yep.
really thought that was an Obsidian title.
You just
I
thought
think
that because it was black.
I
Uh,
thought I don't remember.
Arkham Origins is definitely probably the worst Arkham game, which sucks to say because I feel like
It's a pretty good Arkham game, honestly.
I
It
mean,
just
dude,
doesn't.
it's still an Arkham game, right? It's
Yeah,
better
it just
than
doesn't
a
match
ton of
the rest
games.
of them.
It
Yeah,
didn't bring anything new to the table.
not enough new. Yeah, you're right.
Like it had new heroes and stuff, but like a lot of the abilities were just taken from City.
Yep. It's definitely like a companion game to City.
Yeah.
I do think that what they did with the Joker, like the Joker story in that, is probably one of the better Joker stories ever told.
Yeah, I thought it
Uh,
was pretty cool.
I like the story.
Like,
Yeah, the story
I
of
mean,
Arkham
I'm the
Origins.
Joker, baby.
it's kind of it's kind of telegraphed when you have like Black Mask or whatever, when he pulls his mask off and it's the Joker. It's like, oh, okay, but I think the Joker story in that is kind of what made it as good as it is.
Oh, Batman, you stink.
Anyways,
No,
no.
I think okay, moving on. Deadpool. This
why don't we
game,
put Deadpool?
this game was tragically ahead of its time, in my opinion. It's obviously not the best game of 2013, but it is a really fun game to play. And if it had came out around the same time that the Deadpool movie came out, it would have done a lot better.
It's
The only
it's
reason that
Deadpool
it's-
I fucking X-Men for like however many hours.
Yeah,
Which is a
it-
pretty great game. And he
it's-
shits himself too.
it is a really fun game to play, and it nails Deadpool as a character, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
You're right. I will say that. I will say that it nails Deadpool.
It got really repetitive though, the gameplay at the end.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did. That was the
And
problem
it,
with
it obviously suffers from that, but it's still, in my opinion, a good game. And
Hey,
I
maybe
feel
we'll
like,
see a sequel. I don't know.
That was
yeah,
cool.
the thing is, I bet you if it came out at around the time the Deadpool movie came out, we would have seen a sequel. So
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, I think it's pretty good. That's why I wanted to just make sure it was in there. Wolf Among Us. I think this is probably another one of Telltale's like really good ones. Wolf Among Us was really good in
So I
my
never played
opinion.
that one. I never played that one, and I'm not familiar with the source that it comes from, so I don't know.
So yeah, it basically comes from comic books, which is
Yeah,
not
Fable,
super
right?
uncommon for a Telltale
Not
game.
Fable. What's it called?
I believe is it not called The Wolf Among Us?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Ew.
it's not that. So I mean, if you're not super familiar with it, you play a werewolf who is a detective
Right.
in like a fairy tale world.
It is
or,
the
like,
Fables comic book series.
Fables. Okay, so yeah, they do a really good job with it in my opinion. It feels like your choice is actually a game, and it is like it's pretty gritty. It feels like a good like noir crime like novel. It is a pretty good story. So I wanted to make sure that it was included in here, as well as Warframe, which I think just needs to be mentioned just because of its longevity at this point.
Yeah, it's still
It is-
trucking on, still getting
It's
updated.
still got a lot of it's still getting new content, still getting a lot of players. It's got a lot of stuff to go through. It's a pretty big game. It kind of suffers at this point from having too much stuff. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to get new players into it at this point because there's so much stuff to go through.
It's exactly what turned me off from it. It's like, wow, I like to look at the gameplay of this, but Jesus Christ, there's too many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it really suffers. That's probably why it's not higher on the
7-year
list.
bloat.
Yeah. And then Dead Space 3, which was
It
it was
exists.
good. It wasn't Dead Space 2. It wasn't Dead Space 1, but it's all right.
It's definitely the worst out of the trilogy, but
Yeah. So I guess talking about our top games of the year, I'm probably gonna have to go with Last of Us, honestly.
yeah, I think Last of Us for me for sure.
Casper?
Yeah, probably. I really liked Wind Waker HD, but I'll probably go with Last of Us.
I gotta go with Starcraft 2 Heart of the Swarm.
No,
Purple
bottom
bugs.
line, it's not GTA 5, which is what Spike got.
I would actually like the GTA games.
They're okay.
They are very okay. I don't think they really appeal to our demographic, honestly. But that's beside the point. 2014. Let's finish up.
2014, the worst Souls game.
Yeah, the only one I've played.
Yeah.
Starts with South Park Stick of Truth. Pretty good game. Pretty funny. It's just
Yeah.
a fun game to play.
They really took just a South Park episode and put it into a game. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
it's-
I like the abortion segment. Really cool.
there's
Really
like
good.
multiple segments of the game.
I didn't get super into it because I don't really watch South Park, so I figured I wouldn't really get a lot of the references. But
as a it's definitely the most true to life South Park like piece of media
that
Yeah,
isn't just
you
South
are
Park.
playing. an
What about the South Park N64 game?
So, so Child of Light. I don't know much about Child of Light.
Child
what
of
that is.
Light. It was RPG. It was pretty fun. I remember I really liked it, but I can't remember it. Like,
All right, so
Yeah.
definitely not top game. Destiny. Ooh,
You want to talk about looter shooters? If Borderlands 2 redefined what it meant to be a looter shooter, Destiny, over its longevity, pissed in the mouth of that.
yep.
No, I think it's still
Destiny. The first Destiny was pretty good, and I think it was really unique when it came out.
the problem with
it
Destiny
could
is
have been
its
better.
lack of it's could have been better, and its lack of story really held it back. It's got this amazing world that they're kind of like teasing out, but then if you want to find out more about it, got to read those grimoire cards,
Yeah,
you know. And it's
and
like,
that's just not fun, you know.
just tell me, you know what I mean?
Destiny is World of Warcraft for people who play Call of Duty.
Whoa,
Pretty much.
all right.
It's pretty much it.
But
And
the
with that
shooting-
comes just the absolute like incoherent story. Like that's represented in gameplay.
I
Yeah.
feel like the shooting mechanic, like very few games shoot and feel as good as Destiny does.
And it's
Yeah,
got
and you're gonna
got
get used to
good
that feeling
raids.
because you're gonna be shooting for fucking ages.
I mean, it is a shooter. I mean, what else? Yeah.
It's got good raids. Hey, you know what more can you ask for except for I guess lore and stories. Dark Souls 2.
Worst game in the Souls series. Just like
Because it wasn't made by the original, right?
it had original staff on it. It was from Soft.
No. I understand, but wasn't the creator like?
Oh, Miyazaki.
Yeah. The
Miyazaki
main
was on
dude.
the board for Dark Souls 2. He wasn't like as involved probably, but Dark Souls 2 suffers from quantity over quality. It has 41 bosses in it. That is a hilarious amount compared to the other Souls games. And like just overall Dark Souls 2 just it's difficult for the wrong reasons. It's difficult because it's annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
If Dark Souls 3 improved on Dark Souls 1 by upping the mechanical difficulty but reducing the logistical and annoying difficulty, Dark Souls 2 was the complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you remember the Bell Gargoyle fight and how if you were good enough, you could kill one of them before the rest of them spawned? All right, well, now here's 3, and they spawn within 5 seconds of each other.
Yeah. So yeah, not the best Dark Souls. Well, we can
Yeah,
just
no.
leave it at that. Alien Isolation. If we want to talk about revolutionary horror games, Alien Isolation needs to be at the top of the list. It is terrifying. And there are features in this game that I don't think I've ever seen in any other game. If you were wearing a mic, if you have a mic input in this game and you breathe too loud, the alien can hear it and it will find you.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know
That is
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gotta
The-
watch
the-
that breathing.
The AI that the alien is on is ridiculous. It is so well done.
It
And I
fucks with
think
you.
it really does. It actually starts to toy with you, and I don't think I've ever seen that in any other game. Which is why I think it's really top of the list as far as like revolutionary horror games go for me.
I gotta
Um,
get that game.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
It's on the
Yeah.
Switch now, actually.
It was interesting because like all the other Alien games before Isolation had been like
Awful.
you're a marine shooting xenomorphs, and that's
Yeah,
that's
it's not
the
a
whole game.
stealth
And, like,
horror game.
yeah,
like,
that's part of the Alien series, but the majority of Aliens is like dark corridors,
Mhm.
damp, things gonna kill you.
Flamethrower.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the
Ripley.
AI, Greg, because the AI for Colonial Marines was like classically bad,
Yeah.
and so it's just funny to see, like they did it right, and I would like to see a sequel. It doesn't have to follow the same story from the
Alien
I
Absolution.
don't think the ending of it really lent itself to following the same.
No,
story.
that's what I'm saying. I think that just the world, like the way they did it in the world, you could still tell like a bunch of different interesting stories in that world. You know what I mean?
Predator isolation.
There's a new Predator game coming out, actually.
You hide from the predator. You got to smear mud on yourself and piss in your own mouth.
Well, the new one coming
Wait,
out is
what?
asymmetric. So there's a guy who is Predator, and there's a bunch of people who just run around covered in mud.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Far Cry 4.
Far Cry 4. Yeah, it's pretty good. The setting was pretty cool. It's like
India, right?
yeah, it's like well, pretty much
There's,
Baker.
there's elephants and shit.
Karat, yeah. It's got a pretty good range of environments to play in. It's definitely a really pretty game. The villain's all right. It's
Yeah.
just it kind of suffers from the same thing that most Far Cry games suffer from. It's just like it gets repetitive and the story isn't super engrossing. It's more about the gameplay than anything else. But
especially right after a bunch of different kind of Ubisoft games that are kind of the same, same collectathons like we talked about before. I think people were a little burnt out on Far Cry 4.
yeah,
So I don't think
it probably didn't do that well because of it. It's still a good game. It's still a fun game to play. It's just probably not my favorite.
Yeah.
The Evil Within, it was a good game. Scared the crap out of me for sure.
It's weird, right? It's very weird.
It is very odd. It is an odd horror game. It's kind of hard to
mind-bending.
follow at some points, which I think kind of knocks it down a couple pegs, but it is still pretty good, and it looks really good, plays really well. It's kind of hard to actually figure out what the story is.
Japanese, huh?
Yeah. Wolfenstein,
Wow.
great game.
Let me tell you.
When this game came out, I was pumped. I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, I think me and you, we both like alternative.
Yeah, I
alternate
mean,
history.
obviously, it's pretty easy for us to get into the universe. I'm a big
Yeah.
man and a High Castle fan, and this is it's in a similar vein.
Yeah.
It's a really cool world to like explore your way through, though.
Mhm.
It's kind of cool to see like what would happen if the Nazis won and had super cool technology. I mean, there's Nazis on the moon at some point. It's
Fire and Skies.
it's
Love
a
that
pretty
movie.
it's a really fun game for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's definitely it's got to be one of the best shooters of the decade. Absolutely.
Yep.
Mm.
Um,
Just
and
mechanically.
it really is just a shooter. It doesn't have it's got like a solid story, but you don't need to follow it. You just need to play it and enjoy it. You need to enjoy shooting Nazis.
Yeah, and like the
Who
character. is
doesn't?
not- Yeah, I mean he is a big meathead, but
Yep.
just you learn a little bit about his backstory.
Centrists hate him.
Yep.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So Titanfall, I think Titanfall suffered from its release. Wasn't it released super close to wasn't it really released really close to like the new Call of Duty or the new Battlefield or
Well,
something?
so
Yeah.
here's the problem with EA, right? The last two Titanfall games, they've kind of like sent it out to die. Essentially,
Yeah.
I think-
No marketing. Just
Was this the year? It must have been where it was Call of Duty, and then Titanfall, and then Battlefield 1, I believe.
No, Battlefield 1 was 2016. So,
I think Battlefield 1 was Titanfall 2, right?
yep.
yeah, that's what killed
Okay.
Titanfall too.
Yeah, they've done it a couple times where they just like 1 week, like they put it. So if you have, let's say you're a broke college student, you got $60 and there's 3 games out, 3 shooters, right? It's like, which one are you gonna buy? The Call of
Probably-
Duty, the
Probably the one with
Battlefield.
most people, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are your friends getting? They're probably getting the Call of Duty. They're probably getting the Battlefield. It's like, man, you should have just held the game and just released it in the spring when it's kind of a drought, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would have done a lot better. Because
Yeah.
mechanically, it is a really good game. And obviously, it spawned Apex Legends off the same engine, which is really good Battle Royale. But yeah, unfortunately, Titanfall kind of got shafted there with its release.
Yeah.
Tales from the Borderlands. Tales from the Borderlands I liked. It's all right. It's kind of weird to have a Borderlands game in the Telltale style, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah,
not a
for
shooter.
sure.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it's cool to see the Borderlands world from a different angle. You know, you're not just shooting your way through it. You're just like some Hyperion dude trying to make his way through. It's cool. It's got a good story. And the story also holds implications in Borderlands 3. It's not like you can just. It's not like it's some side thing. it has important implications in it. It's just it suffers from being a little too slow, in my opinion. It's Borderlands is supposed to be fast paced. It's supposed to be like nonstop, and Tales from the Borderlands is neither of those things. It is very slow at times, but I think the story is still pretty good. Speaking of good stories, Murdered Soul Suspect, which apparently Christian, you didn't even know about this one, right?
Is that another detective game, right?
It is another detective game.
And you're
but
solving your own murder, right?
you are solving your
Yeah.
own murder. You are in the ghost world trying to solve your own murder, and I think it is pretty cool. It kind of revolves around the Salem witch trial motif. I think it takes place there. You kind of like make your way through. It tells a pretty good story of the Salem witch trials and all the like the fucked up shit that happened there, and like the ghosts from that and stuff. You get to see all of like the paranormal stuff. It's a pretty cool world to see, honestly. I really like how they did it with like a little bit of connection to between like the living world and the paranormal world. A pretty good game. If you ever find it on sale, it's probably I don't think it's very long. It's kind of worth playing through just once just to see what it's like. It's pretty easy to keep playing it, in my opinion. Smash 4. Christian, what do you think about Smash 4? Yep.
Christian.
Did he leave?
Yeah, is he
My mic
muted?
was muted. My mic was muted. Sorry. I'd say like Smash 4, good. It's weird to look at Smash 4 now after
After Ultimate?
Ultimate, just because of how much better Ultimate is. But I think for the time, considering it was, the latest Smash game since Brawl, I guess since PM, if you want to talk about janky mods. But it was. I think it brought a lot of cool stuff to the Smash series. I think it brought a lot of people back into Smash because, like, at that point, people didn't really play a lot of Super Smash Brothers. Like, obviously there was Melee. Like,
Yeah.
Melee was definitely really alive and well around the time that that Smash 4 came out. But that's just more for the competitive side of things. I think like it brought a lot of new blood. It was
It was an
unfor-
accessible Smash game.
it was very accessible. It's a little unfortunate that it came out on the Wii U.
Yeah.
That was quite literally the only thing that held it back, but it still did big numbers.
It came out on the 3DS too, though.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think the 3DS sales were comparable to the Wii U sales. I mean, I had it on the 3DS before I had it on the Wii U because I didn't have a Wii U until I bought James's.
I think I actually had it on both.
I think honestly, for a fighting game on a mobile device, Smash 4 was pretty kick-ass. It had a lot of like the online. I mean, it's a Nintendo game, so the online sucked ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cool new characters. They removed a lot, unfortunately, but they definitely rectified that.
Yeah.
They rectified that in Ultimate.
Yeah. How about Gauntlet? I don't know anything about Gauntlet.
Gauntlet was a really, really good game.
Yeah, me and Christian used to play it. It was like a 4-player co-op game. It was a dungeon crawler, and you picked
Top-down dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of depth of gameplay to each class. For the it looks like a very simple game, and in concept it is, but each class has a lot of like in-depth, like depending on what equipment you have and what spells you have or what abilities.
The gameplay was fun. Every so often in the levels, death just followed you, and you had to run away while fighting hordes of monsters.
And like pretty much all of the enemies in that game, like you could either kill them or you could crowd control them in some way. Like if I was the wizard, I could freeze them. But Death was just like unkillable, unmovable. He was just huge and it added a whole new element to a lot of levels. A lot of the levels had some sort of, not to say gimmick, but some theme like that.
I hated the final boss.
The final boss is annoying. That's honestly like the only thing that kind of smirches the game. It's really good.
Kind of looks like Diablo. Would you compare it to Diablo?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's similar. Diablo is the big difference. One, your character is way smaller in Gauntlet, and I think that matters a lot because the focus is much more on the design of the level. So like Diablo is very character focused, I think, especially the newer ones like Diablo 3. The level design suffers because of that. Gauntlet is like your character is just like this little, they're fleshed out. You can see them, but like they're this little peg compared to the big dungeon room that you're in, and it's really just about like understanding how your abilities react with the environment and how they can complement your teammates. Like it's not Diablo is a game that you can play by yourself and you'll do fine because every character is versatile. But in this game, it's like no, you like if you're playing certain types of characters, you just are only going to be good at this. I said that wrong, but the characters just play really well together. Like the benefit of cooperation is obvious from the get-go whether they're
Yeah.
trying hard.
There's a lot of different ways you could customize the characters.
And they like mattered.
Hmm.
FNAF.
Yeah, last but not least, the game that spawned 1,000 videos. Five
Yeah.
Nights at Freddy's.
I actually played a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm a little ashamed to admit.
Oh, really?
I don't
didn't
think
But
even
it's
know you
pretty
had it.
lame.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think I ever
I-
played it. But...
I played a lot of it.
Well, then what did you think about it?
Honestly, for what it was a pretty fun game. Like,
Yeah, it seemed like it was well designed. It didn't really promise anything more than it gave.
Maybe
No,
made
it
by one
was-
guy too. It's pretty impressive.
it's a
For
game that where
Yeah.
you tried to avoid being jump scared. It was like it basically told you, it was like, hey, we're gonna jump scare the shit out of you, and it's gonna be really loud and really startling. So play the game well so that we don't have to do that to you. I think that's an interesting concept because a lot of other horror games, like, they're just like, oh, when's the jump scare gonna happen? You don't know. Oh, it's gonna sneak up on you. In this game, it's like, no, it's that dread. It's both a fear of suspense and a fear of like, I'm gonna get the shit jump out of me. It's gonna suck.
You know what's
I
cool
feel like
about that game?
What-
The what you're looking around with, it's just a picture that's stretched and pulled around you.
right, yeah.
So it's not like an actual.
Well, it's
3D
made by one
environment.
dude, so there's all sorts of like weird hacky ways he like accomplished what he was trying to do.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool how he got it out.
Yeah, I think that a problem with Five Nights at Freddy's is not the game itself, but kind of like the weirdo fandom that kind of came out of it.
The deviant
And now you
art.
see, it's like, yeah, it's like merchandising. Like you want a Five Nights at Freddy, like it's like a suit that you wear
It
out in
has-
public.
It has novels.
I hate it.
Like there's actual books of it.
Yeah, it's just weird. I
think-
guess
I
there's
think
like
the
some
lore
lore
is
there
pretty
that I don't know about, but
The lore was cooler when you didn't know it, and I think they like took too long in telling us about it in subsequent games.
yeah.
If I'm being honest, I mean, there was more the guy trying to cash his game getting really popular, which, kudos to him. One guy makes a game like that, and he fucking
Yeah, I would do
rolls
it.
bank off it. The reason the community was really weird was because it's one of those games. It suffered from what I call like Undertale syndrome, where it's gonna
Mm.
appeal to kids that have like, maybe they're some odd closeted sensibilities, and they're gonna start thinking like, oh, I want this big sexy bear man to scare me in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna draw it. It's the pinnacle of like weird MS Paint deviant art of like pregnant Chico the duck.
Mm.
Right. Well, I think on that note, this is probably a good place to call it here for the first part.
Episode 1,
Yeah,
First
since
half of the decade.
we've
Fuck,
been
are we
here
long?
for.
Oh wait, actually, we didn't do our game of
All right.
2014.
That shall be what we end on, I suppose. Cody, since you brought it up, what's your game of 2014?
I think my game of 2014 is gonna be Wolfenstein. I think it's a
yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you there. I think
yeah.
it's just
Straightforward,
probably the most
shoot
fun.
Nazis, most fun, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Casper.
I really didn't play a lot of games in 2014.
South Park.
Yeah, South Park and Smash. I guess I'll go with South Park. I did like that game a lot.
Yeah.
As much as I played Smash and I played a lot of game, I gotta go with
Hmm.
With what?
With-
You could-
The Gauntlet.
Yeah, what you said.
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Gauntlet.
Oh, actually, yeah. You know, what, I'm gonna go with Gauntlet too. I don't know why I forgot.
No, you can't switch it. That's it.
No,
Oh.
just cut it. It's forever.
His
Yeah,
is
so-
South Park, and we're gonna end season 2, episode 1,
Part
games
one.
of the decade,
Yeah,
part
part
1.
This decade in gaming. Oh man. Well, I mean, honestly, if you're listening and you've listened this far, thank you, because we've just been talking about games for like.
Also, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. Also, like what?
Yeah.
Why?
You should seek help. I mean, watch the next one, but seek help.
Yeah, if you want, if you're listening to this on Spotify, then cool. If you're not, then we're on Spotify. We have a Twitter at Undercast Show, I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Maybe
wait,
we
what
should
is
know
it?
it before we.
It's at Undercast Show.
It'll be in the
Yeah.
description.
At Undercast
yes,
Show. Yeah,
it'll be-
everything you want will be in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Because we're gonna make editing bitch boy do that, aren't we?
Hit the
Yeah, read
bell
the
icon.
articles.
Lock him in the basement.
Eternal Gherkin, read the articles
Yep.
that are posted.
Read it all. The truest name in news, Eternal Gherkin.
Yep.
Plug
Um,
the news site.
EternalGherkin.com.
Yeah, and we will hopefully see you for the second part where we go from the years 2015 to 2019 and we talk about our favorite games there. And then eventually we will come together with our very own Games of the Decade. You won't want to miss it.